Two people can be diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, same disease on paper, they can sit down to the exact same healthy anti-inflammatory diet, and one of them gets better and the other one gets worse. How is that possible? Same disease, same diet, opposite results. And the answer to that question is the single most useful thing you can learn about UC and Crohn's. Because once you've understood it, the reason every diet you have tried has been a coin flip, sometimes helpful, sometimes harmful, finally makes sense. Today, I'm going to walk you through the two main type of UC and Crohn's in Ayurveda and how to figure out which one you are and what each type actually needs. By the end of this video, you will probably have a really good idea of your type, and from that, everything else starts to fall into place. Right now, you have probably tried at least 3 to 4 different diets for your gut. Anti-inflammatory, low FODMAP, carnivore, whole 30, vegan, maybe a juice cleanse somewhere in there. And here is a strange pattern. Some of them helped. Some of them did nothing. Some of them actively made you worse. And there was no pattern you could figure out. You assumed it was random. It was not random. You were getting half the protocols that matched your type and half that were designed for the opposite type. Hi, I'm Vanashree. I'm an Ayurvedic doctor. 13 plus years working with UC and Crohn's. And a quick reminder, nothing here is medical advice. So please always work with your doctor. Ayurveda always goes alongside your medical care. Every patient comes in confused to me why their diet keeps producing mixed results. And almost every time, once we identify their type, the mystery's gone. It was never random. They were just one type of diet that was making it worse. So here is what we're going to do. I am going to describe the two types. Type 1, the hot type, and type 2 is a cold or irregular type. I'm going to give you the symptoms of each so you can start to identify which one is closer to you. And then I'm going to tell you what exactly that type actually needs. So type 1 is the hot type, which is a Pitta-driven UC or Crohn's. Let's start with type 1. We can call this Pitta-driven, and the simplest way to describe it is hot. Everything about it runs hot. The inflammation is intense, sharp, burning, the flares come fast, sometimes out of nowhere, and they bring out a lot of urgency and often a lot of bleeding. The bowel movements tend to be loose, frequent, sometimes yellowish or greenish in colors, sometimes with mucus or blood in them. The skin can break out too. The body tends to run warm. Hands and feet are often warm. And emotionally, this type tends to run hot too. Frustration, irritability, intensity, especially under stress. If your gut feels like it is on fire and your skin breaks out under stress and you flare hard and fast, Pitta is probably driving your UC or Crohn's. Let me give you a quick checklist. Just count how many sound like you. 1. Burning sensation in your gut during flares, sometimes between flares too. 2nd, frequent loose bowel movements with yellowish or greenish tinge in them, often with blood. 3. Urgency that hits fast, sometimes within minutes of eating. 4. Skin issues like acne, rashes, eczema that flare when your gut flares. 5. You run warm. You do not love hot weather. You sweat very easily. 6. Emotionally, you tend towards being irritable, frustrated, getting sharp with people when stressed. If you said yes to 4 or more of these, you are likely a Pitta-driven type of UC. And here is what this type needs, very briefly, because we will go deeper in the future videos. Pitta needs cooling, sweet, bitter, and astringent tastes. Cooked food that is not too hot or not too spicy, like coconut, ghee, cilantro, fennel, cucumber, sweet fruits like pomegranate. Cool, not cold water, avoiding fermented food, very spicy, alcohol, vinegar, acidic things like citrus during a flare. Cooling breath work, stress practices that actually calm the fire, not anything that adds more heat. Now, if very little of that did not sound like you, you might be the other type. If this is the first time anyone has explained to you how this works and you've been failing the other times, hit subscribe. I make a new video every week on UC and Crohn's that nobody's teaching you about. So back to the type number 2. Type 2 is Vata-driven UC or Crohn's, and this is the one that is opposite to Pitta. Where Pitta is hot and intense, Vata is cold and irregular and dry. The symptoms are not as fiery, but they're weirdly unpredictable. The bowel movements alternate, sometimes they're loose, sometimes constipated, sometimes both in the same day. There is a lot of gas, a lot of bloating, cramping that comes and goes. The body tends to run cold, and cold hands and feet. They hate winter, They feel chilled, the skin tends to be dry, the mind is often anxious, racing, trouble sleeping. Often sleep is light and interrupted. If these symptoms are there and you feel stressful and chaotic, Vata responds directly to chaos. If your gut is unpredictable, gassy, anxious, alternating between loose and constipated, Vata is probably driving your UC or Crohn's. So, the checklist for this type, count how many you sound like. 1. Bowel movements that are wildly inconsistent, sometimes loose, sometimes constipated, sometimes both. 2. A lot of gas and bloating, especially after meals or in the evening. 3. Cramping that comes and goes, but not constant burning. 4. Cold hands and feet and sensitivity to cold weather. 5. Anxiety, racing thoughts, especially first thing in the morning or at night. 6. Your flares track really closely to stressful or chaotic life events. 4 or more of those, you're likely Vata driven. Vata needs the opposite of what Pitta needs: moisture, grounding, cooked, warm, slightly oily foods, soups, stews, khichdi with extra ghee, warm spices used gently, ginger, cumin, fennel, cardamom, warm water with a little bit of fresh ginger. Avoid raw cold food at all. No smoothies, and cold water will make it worse. Routine, routine, routine. Vata loves routine. So sleep on routine, regular rhythms, nervous system work that is grounding, like meditation, breath work, oil massage, slow walking. Now, before we go further, you might be sitting there going, Vanashree, honestly, some of both sound like me. That is also extremely common. A lot of people are Pitta dominant with secondary Vata or Vata dominant with some Pitta on top. In a full Ayurvedic assessment, we look at which is the primary and which is the secondary, and we treat the primary type first with awareness of the secondary. This is one of the reasons step 1 analyze is so important. It is not just yes no quizzes, it's a real assessment, often using your tongue, your full history. The good news is, even without a full assessment, you usually have an intuition by now about which one is louder. Trust that intuition. Almost nobody is 100% one type. The question is which one is louder, and that type gets treated first. So here is your homework for tonight. One thing, go back through the 2 checklists in your head. Or better, write them out on a piece of paper. Pitta on one side, Vata on the other. Score yourself. Be honest, be specific, use your actual experience, not what wish you were that were true. And then write one sentence. My UC or Crohn seems to be mostly, and finish with Pitta Vata or Pitta dominant with Vata or the reverse, whichever feels closest. Then write the second sentence. Looking back at every diet I have tried, was it cooling and calming or warming and grounding? And which ones helped and which ones hurt? You will start to see a pattern you couldn't see before, because now you have the lens to see it. There is so much relief in finally having a lens, because once you know which type of dosha is driving your UC or Crohn's, all the random pieces of your experience fit. The way your gut reacts, the food that hurts you, the seasons that flare, the stress that lands in your belly, they all stop being random. They become readable. And you become readable to yourself. This is the gift of step 1, analyze. And it is the foundation for everything else. Now, in the next video, I'm going to do something a little different. I am going to share my own story, how I came to Ayurveda, what 12 years, or actually now 13, working with people with UC and Crohn's has actually taught me, and what I had to unlearn from my own training to really see what was helping people. That is the next one. So click right here and I'll see you there.